The UK government has gone out of its way to try and ignore the rise in Islamophobia, which has been happening hand over fist since the early days of the war on terror. So, in more recent times, though, particularly since the Gaza conflict, we've seen a 600% increase from certain indications in Islamophobic attacks in the UK. Most of the information we have about Islamophobic attacks actually came from an organization called Tell Mama. Now, they would publish those figures, and it's telling that at this time, when the Muslim community is under attack, but yet we have the Jewish community claiming that anti-Semitic attacks are on the rise. That's being publicized, that's being acted on, but the Islamophobia is not being acted on, is not being publicized. And in fact, one of the only reporting organizations there has now had its funding removed, which brings into question whether there'll be any formal metrics that are available to the public around Islamophobia. Yeah, anti-Semitism has a working definition that has been adopted by the UK government. It's the IHRA definition, which has come under a lot of criticism because it conflates any criticism of Israel uh, with anti-Semitism. But they have a working definition of that for anti-Semitism, whereas there is no working definition of Islamophobia. So the question is, how do you then define what something is in order to be able to record it in the first place? So unless Islamophobia is defined in the same way, in the same terms as anti-Semitism, then you're going to have a disparity of any reporting through official sort of channels. The way Tell Mama was recording incidents was based on the APPG definition of what Islamophobia was, which was very similar to the original definition of anti-Semitism, which is any attack that's motivated by a prejudice against Islam or Muslims or Muslimness. So we've had a lot of attacks that were recorded against Sikh people, for example, after 9/11, because the perpetrators of those attacks assumed that those Sikh individuals were Muslim. And so properly they ought to be captured. But where we are now, I don't see that there is a methodology to recording those incidents and having them published. And that speaks ill of the intentions of any government to pull funding for that.